is this a walkaway lease?
Correct.
What kind of equipment that we would have to choose from, and what are they governed at?
Yeah, great question. You are governed at the speed of 67 then. We do have a security deposit that you have to pay off then, and so it's $6,000, but you pay that off in increments then. We don't charge you that right up front, and you do get that money back at the end of the lease then too.
How about losing your job in less than a minute? Overnight, even. How about you out on the road 3 weeks before Christmas to get this message on your Qualcomm? What kind of company shuts down overnight and leaves just about 200 truck drivers and another 100 at a different company weeks before Christmas? Weeks before getting presents to your family. Weeks before Christmas vacation. That's the reality that sets in with truck drivers at 2 Minnesota trucking companies, Minstar and Transport Design. Yes, you heard me right. I said Minstar. Remember this conversation right here?
Hold on.
Do you guys accept SAP drivers?
We do not.
All right. How much experience are you guys looking for?
We need at least a minimum of 18 months of over-the-road experience in the last 3 years.
Okay. Pre-employment, drug screening, hair follicles, urine, or both?
We just do urine, and we do it up here with us then during orientation the first day.
What type of runs do you guys have available, and in what lanes do you run?
Yeah, so we are over the road, all 48 states, but really kind of what we do here is like, of course, Minnesota, right? It's a Midwest area. We do northeast, kind of like upstate New York, and then all the way down to the southeast then into like Dallas, Houston area for Texas. And then the other side of that then basically is kind of, we do get out there, but it's not very often. But that's kind of like the main areas that we run. We do expect our drivers to be able to, go everywhere so that they can get the miles and get the money. So, but yeah, we don't go to like New York City, the boroughs, New Jersey. We don't really get into that like Washington, Oregon, Idaho area, or really California. But I think we have some loads out there, but it's not very often.
What about mileage pay? What's the mileage pay? Do you guys do cent per mile or percentage?
Yeah, we do a cent per mile, and it's so basically what it would be at the highest is $1.13 before fuel surcharge. Lowest ever would be $1.05 before fuel surcharge. For example, this week it is 40 cents to $1.53, $1.45, and then the remaining amount. And then we do offer stop pay, and then it really depends on what type of load that you're under and what side of the country you're on, where you would be in between that bracket then.
Okay, now I'm hearing in the upper dollar, so this is $10.99.
Yep, $10.99. It's I don't know if you were aware or not, but we are leased to purchase then too.
Okay, so it is leased to purchase. Okay, so percentage wise is around what? About 80 something percent. Give or
I'm
take?
not sure. I've never worked in a percentage before. I've only ever worked in mileage, and it's only with this one company. So I got really nothing to reference on it in terms of percentage. I just know the per mile.
Okay, well, per mile is awesome. So the highest rate per mile is $1.50. We looking at, right?
Well, depending on the fuel surcharge, right? Because that'll vary week to week. So remember, the base rate is $1.13, $1.05.
Okay. Now this is lease to purchase, right? So what's my expenses every week?
I'm probably roughly right around about maybe $1,000 to about $1,100 with the standard deductions like your insurance, right? Best Pass, all that stuff, ELD, and then your lease payment, then of course being included in that.
Okay.
But then I can't factor obviously is fuel and any maintenance or mechanical breakdown.
How is the miles calculated though? Is it calculated zip to zip or practical?
To zip.
All right. So as far as our dispatches come, like, do you guys have dispatches come to our phone or dispatches come to the Samsara tablet?
Samsara, typically it's through Samsara, but then every once in a while it'll probably be a phone call too as well. For the most part though, from my understanding, it's usually through Samsara.
How are the miles? Is it consistent?
Yeah, man, our goal and expectation is to get you to 10,000 every month, if not more. So, man, if you're willing to stay out and crank the miles and go places, then they'll get you that 2,500 each week, if not more, hopefully. And, man, it just really depends because the freight that we haul is all dry van broker load stuff, but we also have specialized freight, which is like ATV, golf carts, slingshots, kind of those recreational vehicles, and they are in that trailer that you see then that the guy's driving, and it's split right down the middle actually, and they stack them on top of each other. So with like stuff like that, I mean that one, like a lot of places that you go to, right, they're dealers. So either they're may not be open on Sundays, they might not be on Mondays, right? It really does vary on the dealers in terms of how they open. So it's kind of a hit or miss in terms of like, you know, 1 week you might have like 3,200 miles, the next week you have like 1,100, just because like, you know, you stacked them up there because you get paid turn your loads in every Tuesday to get paid every Thursday, right? So like you kind of got to manage it in terms of like how many loads can I get done in that time frame, right? And what ones would go over to the next one.
Is this a walkaway lease?
Correct.
What kind of equipment that we would have to choose from, and what are they governed at?
Yeah, great question. You are governed at the speed of 67 then. We do have a security deposit that you have to pay off then, and so it's $6,000, but you pay that off in increments then. We don't charge you that right up front, and you do get that money back at the end of the lease then too.
Now, Transport Designs, I'm not familiar with them. I didn't even know there was a trucking company that was owned by the same trucking outfit. But these two companies, gone in the blink of an eye. Drivers are blindsided, they're stranded, and once again, the industry is showing how cold it can be in times like these.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
So drivers, just overnight, two companies in Minnesota just shut down. Poof, right in thin air. Minstar with about 200 trucks and Transport Design with about another 100. Both of these carriers was owned by a group called True North Equity. The closure means about 300 truck drivers that are suddenly out of work for the holidays. No transition, no warning, no plans. Just get a Qualcomm message, say we're closing or shut, bring the trucks in, and thank you for your service. You got a message saying that this is the last load the company is shutting down. How do you feel about that, driver? How do you feel when you're out on the road, maintaining freight, maintaining safety, only to get this message to come across your Qualcomm and or tablet? Now, not to say that trucking is a stressful industry as it is, but this message just made it much more stressful for that driver. You expect that driver to be safe. You expect that driver to be sane, only to get this message maybe in the morning when he wakes up, getting ready to make that delivery, only to get this message saying, we're shutting down, bring the truck in after this last load. Thank you for your service. What do you do? How do you feel? You feel messed up. That's what it is. And people always wonder why truck drivers goes off the deep end, because of situations like this. Merry Christmas, drivers.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together. Have a few laughs.
You're out of a job. That's the message that these men and women drivers got over the weekend from this company. This news always come at a bad time. And it messes with our hearts out here as a driver. It's not just us. It's their families, kids wanting presents. Spouses is counting on the paychecks. Bills need to get paid, but they're piling up. When a company like this shuts down, right, drivers don't just lose their jobs. They lose time. By the time they go out to find another carrier to drive for, they go through onboarding and wait for their first paycheck, in some cases, weeks. They're already a month behind. And let's look at it this way, drivers. These drivers gave their sweat, their tears, their hours just to keep the freight moving for this company. And now they're just tossed aside like they didn't even matter, which, quiet as it kept, they don't. I mean, let's be honest here. Trucking companies really don't care about their drivers, even though they say they do. We're a family-owned company. We're for the drivers. Our drivers make the company, which we do, but don't give me that family crap. I said that long time ago. Oh, we're family. We treat you like family here. No. My last name ain't the last name that's on the door of this truck. No. I'm not a cousin. I'm not a brother. I'm not a sister. I'm not a father. Hell, I'm not even a mother. So, no, we're not family. We are employee, contracted to do a job to get paid once a week. That's what we are. And unfortunately, that's where we're at. So prayers goes out to every driver and family that's affected in this situation. This is unfortunately the human cost of an industry that often treats us drivers as disposable. So drivers, this shutdown will not be the last one that we'll hear about. That is the ugly, God-honest truth. This been going on for years in trucking. This company, Equality or Equity, they brought two carriers, Minstar and Transport Designs. They squeezed those companies. And then when things got tough and the money ran out, they shut them down. Drivers shouldn't have to deal with this kind of mess in December of all things. Christmas is coming up. And it seems as though the reckoning always happens around the holiday times where things are most stressful. Companies shouldn't be falling apart like this without warning. Like you had the whole year. You had first quarter, second quarter, and third quarter to let your drivers know that things are going sideways. Plenty of times to tell them to get ready and be prepared. No, you just want to throw them a curveball in the middle of the night. So now that they had to scramble some way to pay the last month of the year bills, to get their kids' Christmas presents up under that tree, to make sure that that family vacation still goes on. And this, unfortunately, keeps happening. And when it does, it's always the driver are the ones left holding the bag. I mean, listen, we need some type of accountability. I would say that we need some type of solidarity, but there isn't none in trucking. But I am going to continue to tell these type of stories because that's what I do over here at the Lockout Men Podcast. Stories like this, we just can't keep sweeping up under the rug because stories like this happens every year about this time. The bloodbath continues, drivers, and it's not just with these two carriers. We have seen 60-year carriers like Carol Fuller. We've seen Montgomery Transport. Hell, recently CRST just went under. And unfortunately, drivers, is going to continue to happen. 2026 is coming up. Now we got about 200, 300 or more drivers that's going into the new year looking for jobs. Jobs that's already hard to come by in trucking as it is. Considering everything that happened in 2025, I honestly think that before it gets better, it's going to continue to get worse. And everybody, including the media, is going to continue to say, oh, but there's a driver shortage. Well, there's not a driver shortage when you had 5 companies in the last couple of months that just shut it down and filed bankruptcy. You got tens of thousands of drivers right there ready to work. So where's the shortage? Where's the shortage at? I don't see it. And honestly, I just honestly hope that it gets better because now you got 300 or more drivers. Now they got to get back in the truck and start all over from the bottom, considering the fact that they was making a lot of money for as long as they've been with that company to starting all over at the bottom. Sad situation, but it's going to continue. Hopefully it gets better.